Hello everyone, this is R.S. Miller at the endtimenews.org and today is May 27th, 2013. 12 years ago this coming August, God gave me a vision of a hidden prophecy about to be fulfilled. This prophecy would be an event which would lead to the Battle of Armageddon and the return of Jesus Christ. The vision happened in parts over a 2-day period, August 12th and 13th. 29 days later, terrorists attacked America and propelled the nations of the earth down the path to World War III. The battle lines are drawn, the players have been selected, and unless someone interjects with a peace plan, i.e. a 7-year peace treaty, then we are about to witness a nuclear holocaust. And in either case, we are right on track to the Battle of Armageddon. RT.com reports that a rocket has been fired from the Lebanese town of Armageddon in the direction of a northern Israeli settlement. The rocket launch could be heard from an area about 10 kilometers from the Israeli border, Lebanese residents and security sources said. It was not clear where the rocket landed, and there were no immediate reports of damage and casualties, Reuters reported. An Israeli drone is hovering over the area from which the rocket was allegedly fired, Lebanese media reports. The head of the northern Israeli town of Metula Regional Council, Herzl Boker, told Maariv newspaper that residents heard an explosion to the south of Metula. "We haven't opened the bomb shelters, but we are ready," he said, as cited by Haaretz. The attack has prompted the Lebanese army and UN peacekeepers to intensify patrols in the region. The IDF has started a search of the area for potential rocket impact sites. It was not immediately clear who fired the rocket, Lebanon's state national news agency reports, but according to Debkafal, the rockets were fired by terrorist group Hezbollah. Earlier on Sunday, 2 rockets were fired at Hezbollah-controlled district of the Lebanese capital, injuring at least 5 people. It is still unclear who was behind the shelling or whether the Lebanese militant movement was actually the target. The attack in Beirut came hours after Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah pledged his support to the Syrian government and promised his fighters a new victory in Syria during his speech on the 13th anniversary of Israel's military withdrawal from Lebanon. According to NDTV.com, Syrian forces loyal to President Bashar al-Assad have repeatedly used chemical weapons against rebel fighters in Damascus, according to first-hand account in a French newspaper. The newspaper, in a report issued on its website today, said one of its photographers had suffered blurred vision and respiratory difficulties for 4 days after an attack on April 13th on the Jobar front, just inside central Damascus. As I'm sure that everyone's well aware, U.S. officials, including President Obama, have repeatedly warned that the use of chemical weapons by the Assad regime would constitute a red line for the U.S., a call to action that would have severe consequences for Assad and his government. The implication was this red line, if crossed, would lead to direct U.S. military involvement, perhaps through the use of air support and bombing raids, but not necessarily placing boots on the ground. So what happened? There's evidence which indicates the use of chemical weapons in Syria, and it's overwhelming, some of which also includes video of Syrian aircraft dropping gaseous or powdery substances on several population centers that causes burns, blindness, respiratory distress, and even death. The U.S. has access to doctors' reports of victims of these attacks, as well as the results of blood tests and even soil samples of the affected areas. With all the mounting evidence, there's no question that Obama's red line has already been crossed. The real question is this: is the U.S. and its allies prepared to go to World War III over it? I would think the answer is no, although it really doesn't matter, because the events that will lead up to it are all rapidly falling into place. Within the past year, Russia has been strengthening its forces in the Black Sea region and for the first time in a decade has established a permanent naval presence in the Mediterranean Sea, which is likely to include nuclear submarines. Although Russian officials state that these actions are normal, some military analysts see it as a warning to the U.S. and Israel not to attack Syria. Additionally, Russia is supplying Syria with technologically advanced S-300 missiles, which is rumored to be able to shoot down virtually any attacking aircraft, manned or unmanned. IAF Commander Major General Amir Eshel spoke Wednesday about the IAF's preparedness for a surprise war scenario with Syria and said that the S-300 anti-aircraft system is on its way to Syria. He said, "If Syria collapses tomorrow, we can find ourselves in this turbulence very fast and in a wide scope, because the enormous arsenal that is situated there is just waiting to be stolen, and then it can be directed in any direction. And then you find yourself forced to act in a wide scale in a very short time." He goes on to say, "It's not like we can say, okay, we have 2 weeks to get prepared. I'm not sure that we have 2 weeks." Jordan and Israel have agreed to use Jordanian airspace to attack Syria should the need arise. A high-ranking Jordanian official close to King Abdullah II told the London-based newspaper Jewish Chronicle that Amman and Tel Aviv were working as one over Syria. The official's name, who was not mentioned in the report, stated that Jordan would, of course, allow Israel to use Jordanian airspace for another attack on Syria if the need arose. Meanwhile, the biblical Persia, which is modern-day Iran, is also deeply involved in this expanding war. In the earlier part of May this year, the Iranian Supreme Leader, Ali Khamenei, instructed Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah to prevent the downfall of Bashar al-Assad's regime in Syria at all costs, and Hezbollah has heeded the call by sending thousands of fighters into Syria. Also in May, Iran gave the go-ahead for a terrorist attack on U.S. soil, according to WorldNet Daily. 3 targets have been chosen within America for imminent attack, and the terror teams have now cut communications with the operational center in Iran, a sign that they are moving ahead with the attacks, according to a high-level intelligence officer within the Islamic regime. Now, September 11, 2001 was the catalyst for U.S. military involvement in the war against terror. In spite of what some might say, that the war on terror is waning, it is not. Terrorism is as much a threat today as it was 12 years ago, if not more so. If another major terror attack took place on American soil, the U.S. would have little choice but to take out the source of the attacks. Currently, the West is attempting to do just that by means of regime change. But another high death toll like the 9/11 incident would most assuredly cause an all-out military assault on Syria and Iran. Already, the U.S. Senate is demanding support for Israeli strike on Iran, which, in addition to supporting Hezbollah terrorists, are also working feverishly towards acquiring nuclear weapons. By some estimates, they will have the capability to build a bomb as early as this June, while others say it will take as long as a year or two. And most surprisingly of all is that there are some who actually say that Iran already has the bomb. But whatever the case may be, the Iranian leadership has made it perfectly clear that they intend to use them against Israel and the U.S. The seriousness of this situation is indicated by the U.S. Senate's vote to support an Israeli attack on Iran. The vote was 99 in favor out of 100. If the government of Israel is compelled to take military action in legitimate self-defense against Iran's nuclear weapons program, The United States government should stand with Israel and provide, in accordance with United States law and the constitutional responsibility of Congress, to authorize the use of military force, diplomatic, military, and economic support to the government of Israel in its defense of its territory, people, and existence. The resolution went on to urge the Obama administration to take its own steps to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon so that Israel does not reach the point where it feels compelled to take action. Friends, we are living in the last days. In the vision I had, I could see a countless number of soldiers marching across the plain. There were so many marching shoulder to shoulder that the ground they marched on could not be seen, and they covered the entire plain all the way to the horizon. Then Jesus Christ, with a humongous army of saints, appeared in the clouds to my right side. The soldiers tried to do battle with Christ and his army, but they could not. In Revelation chapter 19, starting at verse 19, "And I saw the beast, the kings of the earth, and their armies gathered together to make war against him who sat on the horse and against his army. Then the beast was captured, and with him the false prophet, who worked signs in his presence, by which he deceived those who received the mark of the beast and those who worshipped his image. These two were cast alive into the lake of fire burning with brimstone. And the rest were killed with the sword, which proceeded out of the mouth of him who sat on the horse. And all the birds were filled with their flesh." How close are we now? Are you saved? Follow the link below and pray the prayer of salvation with a sincere heart, and you will be saved. God bless you.